I know there's going to be a lot of background noise because I'm actually sitting on the street. But for the purpose of this exercise, I thought I'd just give it a crack. I'm currently in Athens, Central Point, right in the middle of the shit. To give you an idea where I am, I'm pretty much central to everywhere. To the north of me are some of the biggest, junkiest districts in the city, whereas 50 years ago they used to be the most luxe districts of the city. To the south of me and to the west of me, to the east, sorry, what am I talking about? Which way is north? No, to the east. You've got Monastiraki, which is the center point of the tourist hub. It's at the base of the Acropolis and all that sort of shit. So I'm not far from where all the main stuff is. I'm actually opposite the main central, like Vic Market sort of thing. A lot of wholesale meat, veg, fruit, veg, that sort of thing. But my cousin that picked me up from the airport and dropped me off in the area, he assumed I was paying $1 a night for my hotel. And he's like, you couldn't pay me to stay there. I go, yeah, I know, because he's like an ex-banker type. You know what I mean? But yeah, for the sake of this exercise, I've actually just I'm just sitting on the street, really, on top of like an old police station or something. There's just graffiti and shit everywhere, which is a common theme in Athens if you've ever been here. I don't actually know what I'm trying to get out. Today's actually a test. Right before I left Melbourne, I went and bought some wireless mics, for like the ones that your typical content creators always have, in your TikTok videos and that sort of thing, where they've got that little tab shit. And I thought, just for a laugh, I'll give it a whirl, see how they go. I know there's definitely going to be background noise. I was just recording inside the hotel room just to give it the old test, and you can still hear it, like picking up loud and clear. But I said, fuck it, you want to capture the essence of the city. And this is really strange too, because I'm used to sitting around either in the office or the studio by myself talking shit, and I'm actually just sitting on a city street in downtown Athens. Anyway, I got a bottle of water with me, and it felt really odd to not grab a pack of darts and my sunnies is on the way out and a lighter. I've been here since Friday afternoon, and it's Sunday night, and I've probably never smoked as much as I have in the last 48 hours I have ever. And I'm not a non-smoker generally. But the first night we got here, I went out with a cousin of mine to Tsipuradiko, which is basically a low-key cafe/restaurant where, your young types will go order, some pretty local style food, low-key, but you're ordering shots of like moonshine in between your beers or whatever else you're drinking, like along the way. And we didn't get blind, but, I got pretty airy-fairy. But I got into like deep combo with one of my cousins, and his brother rocked up. Then the original one left, so we stuck around till about 2 a.m. And you're just sucking down dart after dart as you're getting deeper in a conversation. And it's just unheard of. There's no one here that doesn't smoke. It's insane. And it's weird too, because I was only here 2 years ago, but this is the first time I'm actually coming with no travel companion. There's no one I'm not here with a group or anything like that. I'm not here with friends. Nicely enough though, I do have a friend that's actually from Melbourne that has been here for the last 2 months, and he extended his trip by another week or two when he found out, when he got my dates. And so we've actually got a few things planned, just to sort of do a few of the touristy stuff that you typically do. I always go to the Parthenon every time I come to Greece. I've been, half a dozen times or whatever it is, but he said he hasn't been this trip yet, so we said we'd do it together. Little bobs and ends that we're going to sort of do. But yeah, you're constantly finding yourself, someone's offering you a dart or a coffee. You're just going to stop and buy a coffee on the side of the road. I don't know. Even just this Arvo, I went to my auntie's place out in Styx and had like a late lunch, early dinner sort of thing. And one of my cousins, one of their sons said, all right, let's go to my place, which is another, 15 minute, 20 minute drive from there, whatever it is. And as we're driving, he's pulled over first to buy ciggies. So he's pulled over, said, do you want anything? I'm like, no, I'm fine. And he's like, all right. So he pulls over, car's running. He's just pulled over on the side of the road. He's run into this sort of little mini mart thing, bought a pack of darts and got me a bottle of water. And he's run back to the car, driven off again, and then stopped again He's just pulled over on the side of the road, engine running, because he's going to go buy a coffee. It's so weird. Because, I mean, context of things, you never see that sort of shit in Australia. And we're just talking about a cup of coffee. And Melbourne's huge on coffee culture. But I thought it was really strange. Whereas we're just driving towards his house and he's pulled over twice, stopped on the side of the road with the engine running to buy a pack of darts and a coffee. All right, so currently just walking back to my room. And I was just thinking to myself, I need to find a quiet place, like on the street. But the truth is, it's Athens. There are no quiet places. So this is probably the quietest it's going to get while I'm on the street. My hotel is, like I said, next to the Central Markets in a really sort of seedy area. And by chance, I'd stayed in the same area 2 years ago, maybe a couple blocks away, 5 minutes away. So there's something really unique about Athenian apartment buildings. There's a lot of marble, a lot of echoey sort of halls, and there's this staunch smell that comes from every building. Can't really describe it. It's like a mix of fried potatoes and cigarettes. Anyone who's ever come here would know what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's have a look here. Door 1. Door 2. Cool. So I'm back in the room. Hopefully it's a lot quieter here. It's probably got a bit of an echo. But for the hypothesis of this exercise, probably better off doing this. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, this room's not much chop. It's like a hotel room, standard hotel room, no windows. Curtains closed, dark aesthetics, but it is what it is. Okay, so I've just figured out a bit of fine tuning on this. What's it called? DJI Mic Mini. Nice little plug for a company that's never heard of me, never will ever hear about me ever again. Hey, I just realized something. So I've turned the TV on just to create the illusion of, company. And I believe someone was just trying to access my TV via YouTube on their app because something in Italian popped up. So I'm assuming the neighbor is trying to fuck with the TV and just stream straight to TV with their phone. Not going to work in this house. Yeah. So, I mean, there's not much to say. I've been here about 24 hours. I started traveling on Thursday night and it was an absolute shit show. I guess I'll give you the wrap up basically up until this point. So I haven't really discussed it or anything on the pod. I might have said it once or twice, but I mentioned I was going overseas. The point of this trip was to come to Greece for Easter. So I didn't have any work for the first couple of weeks of April. And Easter being the Catholic Easter and the Greek Orthodox Easter both falling on the same weekend this year for the first time in a long time, I said to my mum, why don't we see if we can jump on some cheap flights and just go to Greece and do Easter in a village. So for context, I mean, my mother's nearly 80. We haven't done a trip together since my early teens. Last time we've only ever come to Greece once together. That was back in 98 and I was about 12 years old. 13. I don't think I turned 14 yet. I was 13. And I mean, my mother travels frequently. Obviously I do as well, but we've never done anything together in any form in regards to something like this since, my early teens. And it was strange too, because I mean, in 23, when I was here last, I went to Morocco, Spain, Portugal that year. And my mother ended up going to Portugal, Spain, Morocco, and India that year. And then last year I was in Vietnam and Laos, and she was in Cambodia and Vietnam. So yeah, we've mirrored a bit of our sort of trips the last couple of years, but I said, you know what? It's now or never. A couple of days later, after I because we've always said we'd go to do Easter in Greece together. Easter's a big deal in Greece. I mean, I'm not religious or anything like that, but Easter as a holiday, it's bigger than Christmas, bigger than anything else, bigger than New Year's. And our village, which is, X kilometers above sea level up in the mountains, has got something like 3 or 4 churches within the village itself. So typically for Easter, most people that live in cities, they all head back to their villages, wherever their grandparents came from, their parents, or wherever they've got like a holiday house or something like that. And it becomes a thing. And it was sort of, a lot of my mum's extended relatives all still live in and around the areas. A lot of them are of advanced age. So it was like, I don't have any work, let's do it. And it'd be nice, if word got out that we were both going at the same time. The presumption is that, most people would make the effort to come down, to the village, see us, we sort of make it a thing. I forgot about my mother's, rock star quirks, because I asked her, a month or two ago, I said, what's the plan? She says, what plan? You can do whatever you want. Like, thanks, mate. So yeah, we jumped on some cheap tickets back in October last year, effectively just paid them off. And I knew when I was coming to Greece this time around, I'd be doing, no tourist sort of stuff in regards to, so going to islands and all that sort of thing. I mean, it's down season. It starts picking up here at the end of April, start of May. But, here we go. Someone's playing guitar next door. That won't bother me. What the hell do these people have a guitar? It's a hotel. There's some traveling gypsies. Anyway. Yeah. So I knew I could do it cheap. I was going to effectively stay with family in the village for the whole, if it's 20-day trip, 4 days lost on transit basically. And then, out of the 2+ weeks that'll remain, one of those weeks would be spent staying with family in the village. So it's, low cost. It was more about maintaining my expenses and overheads while I was gone. But I digress. It is what it is. I'll figure it out. But yeah, to recap, this trip was just, the commute from hell. I've obviously traveled a bit. I'm used to doing long transit and things like that. But there are so many pros and cons of traveling with an elderly person. I mean, she's not an invalid, but, yeah, it started all off on the right note when I went over to her house, because she said between the two of us, Eddie had for some reason had some sort of mental aneurysm and allocated us about 40 kilos each and, 7 kilos in your hands, hand luggage, your carry-on luggage. And 40 kilos is insane. When I traveled through Vietnam, I think my allowance was like 7 kilos hand luggage and 10 or 15. And that's because I'd paid for it as well. It was ridiculous. And I've never traveled with more than 15 kilos, which is, a small mid-sized sort of suitcase with a couple pairs of shorts and socks. And so my mum's called me and said, hey, we've got X amount of X amount of weight between us. You got to come past so you can, put them in your suitcase. I've got gifts, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, all right, okay, well, don't go nuts. But, no worries. I'll come and I'll sort it out. So I've gone to her house and she's got these 2 huge fucking bags that you'd think a hitman would travel with to dispose of bodies in. They were massive. And I'm like, what the hell is this? You're literally, is this a fridge? Like you've literally got your fridge wrapped in fabric and attached to zip. He just starts cracking their shits, their gifts and, these people look after me and I'm like, I go, what are you bringing them? Like, honestly, what do they not have in Greece? They're in Europe. Like, do they not have shoes? The war is over. He said, don't be a smart ass, blah, 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 just take them. And then I'm trying to weigh them. And I'm like, look, where's your scales? Let's weigh these things. And she pulls out these scales. I swear to Christ, these scales are older than I am. I remember when I was a kid, the weights and measurements on them, the scales themselves are, you've got your kilos and you got your pounds and stones and stuff underneath it, like different metrics. And I swear to God, like she's had him for literally 40 years plus, easy 50. Like she had to have had him in the 70s, 100%. And she goes, there's nothing wrong with him, the most accurate. I'm like, what are you talking about? So I've grabbed like one of the suitcases and I know through trial and error, you know, and everything I've read over time, the best way to weigh a suitcase is to literally weigh yourself and then hold the suitcase above your head, directly above your head. So there's a central point of gravity and it's as uniformed and aligned as you possibly can, right? So I've done that. She's like, what are you doing? Like, she goes, it's no more than, you know, X kilos. I can't remember what she said. And I'm weighing them and I'm coming up with 5+ over her estimate. And she's like, no chance, you know, it's inaccurate. I'm like, all right, man, it's inaccurate. I've went and gotten, I've dragged these things into my car. You know, it was just ridiculous. I could fit one of them in my boot. Oh, no, it was her car. Yeah, we could only fit one of them in her boot and the other one had to go in the back seat. So I've dropped my car off at the mechanics, picked her up in her car, driven it back to my joint to leave in my car spot because I'm only coming for 3 weeks. And this, you know, again, the plan, forward thinking, I'd get back, drive her car to her place, which is around the corner from my mechanic and so forth and so forth. We get back to my joint and she's got like bags and suitcases and then more handbags and just like she's got like a big Mary Poppins fuck off, you know, carpet bag and like another little bag. I'm like, well, what is all this crap? She goes, oh, you'll need it. We need it. I'm like, all right, no worries. We get back to my house. I've got a little travel weight scale thing, you know, you can buy for $10 from Kmart, accurate to the freaking milligram. And she's like, that's not going to work. And I go, bring me your damn bags. I've weighed them and they've come up pinpoint accurate. Again, like we're at 70 kilos between her 2 suitcases and what she'd given me to put in my bag. I'm like, are you fucking joking? 70 kilos. She starts cracking the shits. And I said, all right. So I get my suitcase out. I start going through my clothes and I'm literally getting audited as I'm pulling clothes out. Like, what do you need an extra pair of jeans for? What do you need 2 pairs of tracksuits for? I'm like, I'm a grown man going there. I'm going to be traveling through, you know, 3 different towns over 3 weeks and 4 countries and like all that sort of thing. She's like, no, you don't need anything. I'm like, all right, man. So I'm literally pulling out underwear and placing them on my bed. And she's just, it's like I was, you know, 8 years old again. And it was just the word of the day was metrimena. Metrimena meaning like everything accounted for, you know, down to the last cent. I basically was given rations for my suitcase and then she crammed all the crap into it. Everything I had was under 19 kilos. And she's just pumped it to the extreme. My suitcase was bulging at the seams to the point where I had some stuff to bring to Greece for family and my clothes. I ended up carrying I filled my gym bag with some gifts and I filled another Colette retail just sack with my clothes. And I'm just looking at it. I'm like, I'm paying for the first time ever, you know, in 10, 15 years or whatever it is, I'm paying for a decent ticket, you know, with a decent airline and no, like, you know, a very generous weight limit and all that sort of thing. I can travel in actual comfort. And instead, I'm dragging these 3 suitcases filled with dead bodies across tarmacs and my own clothes are coming in my arms like a doll. Yeah, this is ridiculous, like absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, we had a bit of a squabble over that sort of shit. We get to the airport, all well and good. We're running late because, you know, she was sitting there dealing with my suitcase. We get to the gate and Eddie starts off with, yeah, cool. We'll get all these through. No dramas. They didn't even check the shit that we had in our hands. We were definitely over between my bag, my backpack, my travel backpack with, you know, my laptop, my tablet, a couple books, all the usual sort of stuff. You know, that was heavy. And, you know, my mum's got her Mary Poppins bag, which in turn was filled with sandwiches and fruit. They didn't ask to weigh anything. And I'm like, maybe there's more to this traveling with an elderly person sort of thing, yeah? Because I've been rubber gloved through nearly every airport I've ever been in. They'll pull me aside, all that sort of crap. But this time it was like, nah, didn't even question it. I could have had like a grand piano in a rucksack and they would have let it through. So I knew something was up. When we've gone to get everything, it's all falling under the weight, all good. And the woman said to me, look, I'm going to leave your bags on this side here. Can you help me just put them to the side and just go over to that service desk and we'll be with you again? I'm like, service desk? What for? Are we getting upgraded? Like, really? Go to the service desk and the woman basically just starts off and goes straight into it. She goes, look, I'll be blunt. Etihad has oversold the flight. This is a common practice, especially during seasonal sort of periods like Easter and Christmas. They've oversold the flight and it's a full flight. And unfortunately, a lot of people have already checked in. I'm like, so what are you saying? She goes, well, there's a good chance you're going to get bumped. I go, bumped? I go, to when? And she goes, 6 a.m. tomorrow. So basically 12 hours from then. I go, well, what does that mean? Well, we'll put you in a hotel. We'll cover your expenses as far as I go. What about, hotel delays or whatever other foreseeable sort of logistical, expenses that may pop up? Well, you'd have to take that up with the airline or your insurer, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay. I was resigned to the fact that we're going to get bumped. It's oversold. We're late because my mum was dealing with the blessed suitcase. And my mum's sort of like going into a bit of a panic. I'm doing the old, logistics. Don't calm down. Let's get some solutions happening. I'm pre-thinking, transport and transit and, what's this, where we're going to end up. We're not going to land at, 1 p.m. We're going to land at 1 a.m. and all that sort of thing. Anyway, and eventually the woman comes back to us and she says, look, I'm going to be honest again. I've effectively stolen 2 seats from someone else and I've allocated them to you. I'm like, you're kidding. She goes, no. Look, I'm looking at your mum. She's reminding me of my own grandmother. I feel really bad, this and that. I'm like, mate, I go, we really appreciate it. Like, seriously, this is as lucky as it's going to get. Thank you. So I've just turned to my mom, like, grab your shit. Let's go before they change their minds. Let's get the fuck out of here. So yeah, we hustle onto the plane. Standard sort of shit. The one thing I'll say, there was 2 things that, made this flight memorable. Number one, I see my mum every sort of week, speak to her, whatever, every couple of weeks, we'll talk or see her in person. And I forgot just how dry and deprecating her sense of humor can be, pretty much like mine. And it just started from the second we were walking up to the gates, like just her quips, her smart ass quips. We were on the plane and, she's turning around. She's like, she's offering me sandwiches. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, do you want a sandwich? I'm like, no. Okay, we're going to get a meal. Like, relax. Like, we're going to get a meal in the next, hour. She's not, it's going to be at least 2 hours until they offer us a meal. Have a sandwich. You're going to get hungry. I'm like, mate, just relax. And I remember saying something to her like, can you just put your sandwiches away? I go, it's embarrassing. She goes, embarrassing. She's like, mate, because wait till I start pulling these sandwiches out and offering them to other people. So I'm going to embarrass the fuck out of them. In Greek, she said, if it was kind of easy, it's like I'm going to embarrass the shit out of them with the gourmet sandwiches. These things were classic WOG fare, like it's spelt bread with, what's it called? Grilled like eggplant and cheese and pecorino cheese and stuff like that. And we're just pissing ourselves laughing. Eventually, they bring out the meal, and when they brought it out, she's like, you see? She's doing the maths on her phone, on her watch. She's like, 2 hours, I told you. They bring it out. They bring it out, and it's like, do you want the chicken or the beef? I go, yeah, I'll go the beef. Mum's like, yeah, I'll go the beef. And it was just like a mash, beef and peas or whatever, salad. And they bring my mum's out, and she's got everything but the beef because it was a separate container. And it's like, yo, where's the beef? And like, oh, yeah, my colleague's gone to look for it. Air hostess is pissed off, gone to look for it, come back. After like 15, 20 minutes, I looked at her. I said, where the hell's your meal, man? Mum was like, yeah, they're cooking it right now. Like, yeah, it was like It was like casserole beef. And I'm like, yeah, man. Okay, they've got like a fucking pot out the back. Just there's a chef stewing it up. And we're fucking dying. Like, we're just laughing. Eventually it came. And then the second bad thing that happened was, 2 years ago, the Carlton Football Club decided to, shit in the bed and just forget that they were playing, Australian rules football. And we just lost. I don't know how many games in a row. The last game I saw was Carlton Melbourne, because I went with a few friends. And I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I stopped watching games. I didn't go to the Essendon game. That was the last round before I left. And I effectively left to go to Europe just so I could avoid the football. And after about a week or two or three, we started going on that run and we ended up winning like 14 games in a row, whatever it was. And I figured I've done the same again this year. So Carlton's 0-3. We're 0-3 when I left. And that night was a blessing because I'm like, the game starts at 7:30 or whatever it is. My flight's at 6:15. I'll be in the sky halfway to Brisbane, or wherever we were headed. Actually, we're headed west because we're going straight to Abu Dhabi. We're going to Singapore. So yeah, I said we'll be over Adelaide at some point before the game starts, and I won't have to worry about it. And I sort of was just dipping in and out. I think I was maybe watching something on my tablet or something. And then my mum's giving me a nudge and said, hey, they're watching football. And I've looked up and realized that Etihad is streaming the AFL live on one of their free-to-air channels. And that was it. I tuned in from about halfway through the second quarter, and it was, 24 points or something like that. And then we were done. We were fucking done. I locked in. And the worst thing, the one thing you don't want to be doing when you're watching footy, and especially if you're following a team that doesn't do anything, is be in a hollow tube, 10,000 freaking meters in the air or whatever the hell it is. It was just bad. I started yelling. My mum's sitting there hitting me. She's like, shut up. You're embarrassing me. Why are you yelling? I'm like, are you watching this? It was the worst game I'd seen ever. It was terrible. But yeah, I actively was yelling and getting agitated and animated. My mum kept hitting me. Oh, God. I couldn't. But yeah. Anyway, we ended up landing in, as we head towards Abu Dhabi. I mean, we flew through the night. We landed in Abu Dhabi at like 1 a.m. We get there. We have like a 7-hour layover. My mum hadn't slept, barely slept. So we've sat down like across these chairs and I'm just keeping watch, of everything. She's carked it, gotten up, eventually get on the plane. I'm cactus. 8:30, we board the plane as expected. I close my eyes. I fall asleep. And then I get jolted and I wake up at about 9:30 again. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And she goes, we're taking off. I said, what do you mean? We're taking off when I close my eyes. She goes, yeah, there was a delay, about 45, 50 minutes. I'm like, oh, God. So we take off and it was almost impossible to get back to sleep. And again, just the quips just kept coming out, stupid gags, stupid jokes, just talking shit. We're flying over the desert at some point. We're trying to figure it out later, like where we were. And I ended up finding the flight path thing, which we hadn't realized, at the time. And the presumption was we were, near Riyadh or somewhere, so along the coast, going through over Kuwait and around, we effectively flew right over Israel, around Iraq, over Israel to get through to the Mediterranean. And I just remember looking down because it was daybreak by that point. It was sunlight. I'm looking down and I said something like, oh, you can see land. Like, look how cool that is, la, la, la. And my mum's like, can you see Greece? Like, I think I see a suvo joint. Someone grilling up some lamb over charcoal. And we're just carrying on. We're just pissing ourselves. It's just a joke. And then obviously, like, as we're flying, they've brought out another light meal. And it was like a tandoori chicken wrap. And I remember, like, we looked at it and we looked at each other and we're like, all right, let's see what this is. It was this cold wrap. And I've taken a bite. I'm like, nah, it's not bad. It's palatable. And my mum says something like, it smells like flour. It's cold. I've gone, where's the chef? He should be ashamed of himself. Oh my God. But yeah, anyway, I don't know how I've rambled on that much. How long has this been going for? Jesus, 22 minutes. I definitely know that the first recording I did for today is fucking loud because I realized the gain on this recording device was turned all the way up. So maybe I should have done that when I was outside. Anyway, we'll see how this turns out. Again, no promises. No one actually pays for this service. So you be thankful with what you get because everyone gives a shit about what I have to say. Anyway, and then, we landed in Athens and, we were waiting forever for our bags to come out. It was fucking hilarious. We were at the carousel and Mom was like, do you reckon they lost it? Do you reckon they lost the bags because of the transit and the overbooked flight? I said, I don't care. I go, thanks to you. I've got all my clothes in a bag in my lap. It's all your shit that's going to go missing. And it was also funny because when we got to Greece, Greece has got like no x-ray machines. You basically land and go through passport control and then you're free. And I remember a mate of mine in Cyprus had explained it to me, his theory on it back in 2009. He's like, mate, because they don't care. You got checked at your prior destination. They could give a fuck. What are you going to have gained like while you were in midair? Nothing. You may have stolen some of the silverware on the plane. And, I noticed it as soon as we got to Greece, like we just walked straight through, straight out. My cousin was waiting for us. And I remembered, I harkened back to Morocco when I was in Marrakesh. I got to the airport at like 5 a.m. for a flight to Portugal. And there were security guards. There was an x-ray machine going into the airport, the main entrance. I mean, that would take forever to filter through peak hour, but they're not taking any chances. Not in a freaking third world Islamic state nation sort of thing. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say Islamic state, but, a Muslim majority nation. They literally had x-ray machines at the start, at the first door. And it just got progressively more stringent, like as you went through. So many screening processes. In Greece, they could care less. Yeah, you're literally getting off the plane. There'll be a bloke on the tarmac with a ripped safety vest having a dart as he's running across the thing. It's so insane, so backwards. But yeah, the one thing that really did annoy me though was that I had one thing that I wanted to do while I was here, and that's I'm trying to chase up my citizenship. And as I've mentioned before, it took 2 years to get an appointment in the consulate in Melbourne, and they screwed it up. They couldn't find my old man in their system for whatever reason. And the advice was that you couldn't get it done while you were here. It all had to be done because I'm an Australian citizen, Australian born. I had to get it all sort of verified and declared from the Australian end, which I didn't believe. So I got all my papers, got my parents' papers, everything, everything I could find my hands on, put it in an envelope, left it on my suitcase in Melbourne, to sort of put in there for safekeeping. And my mum, given a state of, franticness, trying to pack all the gifts and shit, she left it at home on my table. So I've got most of the documents, digital copies of them, but I've just got to chase that up now while I'm here. But I figured if I can actually get it done from this end, but I need physical copies of the originals, then I'll have it FedExed across, and I'll see what happens. But yeah, there's that fun little thing. Anyway, I don't know. I've still got, everyone's still working here, so I'm sort of taking it easy, just doing little things. I'm still working myself. I've got my laptop, and it's interesting too. Like, I've actually gone to cafes on my own, happy with my own company sort of thing, taking my laptop, doing a bit of work, having a coffee, just sort of chilling out a bit. There's really, not much to do during the day, just purely because most of my family are all working. I do have one cousin here that's on on leave right now, so I'm hanging out with him a bit. But the goal is to basically just get some work done during the day, then see my relos and such at night. And in about a week or so, I'm going to head out down to the village, do Easter week there, which will be an experience in itself. Glad I'm actually doing that. And then back to the rat race come, just after Easter. So, yeah, it is what it is. It's actually just, really weird because I'm not being a tourist and I'm on my own, without sort of, traveling with anyone or any group or anything. And you're seeing Athens in a different light. And, it's just bizarre. There's just graffiti and shit everywhere. And, you see Greece advertised for tourism. And, it's one of the most heavily populated countries on the planet during tourism sort of season, during summer. And even today, like it's a Sunday, I went for a walk down the street to Monastiraki and it was just packed with tourists. Homeless problems are becoming really bad. Drug problems are becoming really bad. It's starting to clean up a bit, but people are just homeless, sleeping rough, all that sort of stuff. And, I remember 2 years ago when I'd done, the Greek islands, I'd done Santorini and Midlore and all that sort of thing. And you see the luxness that you see those postcard photos that everyone sees, and sort of wants to capture for their Instagram, TikTok reels. And then you come to Athens and you just see the underbelly of it. And it's just like, fuck, what's going on here? Discussing, economics and things like that with my cousins and friends, what people learn. It really opens your eyes in regards to, how lucky we are in Australia. And you know what? The cost of living is getting ridiculous in Australia. And I was explaining that to my cousins. But the one thing that my cousin pointed out, who's actually, one of them today that I was hanging out with, who's come to visit us in Melbourne. And he has like an understanding of what goes on outside of Greece. And we both sort of, agreed. He said, but at least you see where your taxes go. You've got beautiful streets, clean parks, hospitals, public hospitals that are decent. He goes, you see what goes on here, man. He goes, without private health insurance, you're fucked. Our roads are he goes, it's a fucking Luna Park ride. That's literally what his quote was. He goes, you don't know to go to left or right. He goes, if you end up getting sick and you have to go to hospital, you're going to die. Like, that's it. Because you just sit there and do say your prayers that you actually get out alive from the waiting room because you'll be there for the next 48 hours. That incident that happened with the train accident 2 years ago, the big cover up, all that sort of stuff. It's amazing just how backwards this country's gone. And we get rorted in Australia with taxes and things like that, but at least there's some value for money. At least you can see it. It's just cooked. Anywho, I'll leave it there for now. At least, this is a one try on this bit of equipment. Hopefully, I really want to go back out on the street and do one because it's nice sitting there with a bit of inspiration. But hopefully I can figure out how to use this stuff a bit better. But for now, I'll check back in maybe later this week after I've done a few things. But till then, smoke crack.
Hold up.